Tallahassee firmly believes that you have to blow off steam in Zombieland or else you lose what's left of your mind.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the go-to choices for anyone seeking a movie date with the undead.
Then transport body of the infector with maximum precautions, you know where.
Number 30, I Walked with a Zombie.
Everything good dies here, even the stars.
While it may predate the zombie film craze, I Walked with a Zombie is still necessary viewing for any movie fan of the creature. This is a film from horror's golden age, and it practically drips with the atmosphere indicative of this time. Cinematographer J. Roy Hunt creates a mood that is startlingly effective and creepy, while the subject of traditional Haitian voodoo practices is juxtaposed against overarching comparisons between these zombies and real-life subjugated peoples. Think of I Walked with a Zombie as an essential tentpole example of zombie cinema 101.
Mrs. Rand, you're not seriously trying to tell me that my patient is a zombie.
I'm not mad. It's true.
Number 29, Rabid.
You got a light, buddy?
The infected victims that appear in David Cronenberg's Rabid don't belong to either the living dead or the world of voodoo zombies. Instead, the source of this plague stems from one particular woman by the name of Rose Miller. Adult film actress Marilyn Chambers does a wonderful job in the role. A tragic motorcycle accident and an experimental series of cellular skin grafts results in Rose growing a peculiar yet deadly appendage from underneath her arm. Soon, legions of infected people are spreading this zombie-like plague, with no end in sight to the contagion. Rabid is troubling and gross, sure, but it also benefits from Cronenberg's trademark quality and style.
I'm gonna stay here until I make sure he doesn't get sick. And then I'll know I'm not the one who started it all.
Number 28, Planet Terror.
I swore to my men that I'd do everything in my power to keep them alive. That's what I intend to do, Ray.
Originally released as part of a double-feature anthology film called Grindhouse, there were many who preferred Planet Terror from director Robert Rodriguez. This throwback to apocalyptic zombie movies was created with an obvious love and respect for the genre. Sure, the negative scratches and missing reels are a bit corny and overdone by today's standards, but fans still found Planet Terror to be a lot of fun. It's also a film that has aged well thanks to some ultra-gory effects, a knowing sense of humor, and a plot that is straightforward and enjoyable.
Fine, but we're taking my car. I'm riding with you.
Number 27, Burial Ground.
Oh my God. No, no, no. No.
Director Andrea Bianchi tended to work in the sleazier end of the Italian horror swimming pool. As a result, his foray into undead cinema definitely feels like some sort of fever dream. After all, the film co-stars Peter Bark, a 25-year-old man playing the, let's go with, peculiar young son of a woman named Evelyn. Bark's performance just has to be seen to be believed. Meanwhile, Burial Ground's murder set pieces push the early 80s envelope when it comes to unrepentant gore. Don't pick up Bianchi's film if you're seeking out strong performances or even a coherent script. Just watch Burial Ground for a good time all the time.
No, no. Stand back. I'm your friend. No, no.
Number 26, Hell of the Living Dead, aka Virus.
Un topo morto nel punto più asettico della rotta. Incredibile. Ma come sarà finito?
Bruno Mattei was another Italian director with a penchant for delivering what could be described as threadbare thrills with plots held together by silly string. Hell of the Living Dead is one of the Macabre Maestro's most accomplished pieces, which is saying a lot since the film isn't even entirely Mattei's. Yup, the director actually utilizes musical scores from other movies here, most notably the band Goblin's work on the original Dawn of the Dead. The commando characters in the film are also very reminiscent of those featured in George A. Romero's work, although Troll 2 screenwriter Claudio Fragasso does a better job writing the film's second half. Honestly though, you'll be much too busy having a good time to worry about its lack of original ideas. Number 25, Zombie Holocaust, aka Dr. Butcher MD.
It's gonna be dark soon. Can't risk floating around at night. So we better head for the nearest shore and try and fix the boat. Can we reach that island over there?
We'd normally recommend watching a film in its original native language. That said, there's just something gloriously exploitative, in the best possible way, about the American cut of 1980's zombie Holocaust. This edit quickened the pace, changed the music, and switched out the title to Dr. Butcher MD. The MD, if you weren't sure, stands for Medical Deviate, and the film did boffo box office stateside, thanks to what basically amounted to a successful marketing campaign. Both versions of Zombie Holocaust are worth your time, however, especially if time capsule NYC footage and raw undead violence is your bag.
Oh, don't worry about it being late. Your work is always worth waiting for.
Number 24, Nightmare City, aka City of the Walking Dead. The director of 1980's Nightmare City, Umberto Lenzi, has famously argued about whether or not the infected people at the center of his film are zombies. We'd counter that if it looks like a corpse and bites like a corpse, then it's a zombie. Moreover, Nightmare City was something of a forward-thinking film with regards to the speed of its antagonists. These zombies run like the Dickens and even use tools during their mayhem-filled attacks on the populace. It's sort of a precursor to the rage zombies we'd see in films like 28 Days Later and World War Z. Overall, Nightmare City delivers the gory goods, while also possessing one of the most infamously head-scratching endings of the 80s.
In nome della legge, aprite I portelli. Ripeto, in nome della legge, aprite I portelli.
Number 23, Cemetery Man.
Hey, visiting hours are over.
Nobody's gonna take me away from him!
What? Rupert Everett in an ultra-gory, blackly comedic Italian horror film? Hey, it's more likely than you think. Cemetery Man arrived at the tail end of that country's genre film dominance, while also serving as one of its most successful crossover cult hits. Everett plays a caretaker whose job it is to put down the dead on a nightly basis. His character is soon overtaken by lust and love, however, losing his hold on reality in the process. Everett's murders anger the actual personification of death so much that he appears in the flesh, taking the form of a badass Grim Reaper. Cemetery Man is slick, and helmed under the keen eye of director Michele Soavi. It's also tons of fun.
Hell, at a certain point in life you realize you know more dead people than living.
Number 22, City of the Living Dead.
I see. There's the contact.
This film is the first entry in director Lucio Fulci's unofficial Gates of Hell trilogy, an umbrella term for a triumvirate of Italian horror excellence from the early 1980s. The Beyond and The House by the Cemetery are both essential pieces of this unholy triangle, but we'd honestly recommend starting at the beginning with City of the Living Dead. All three films are dreamlike exercises in mood and atmosphere, embellished by evocative cinematography and outstanding musical scores from the likes of Fabio Frizzi and Walter Rizzati. City of the Living Dead is also infamous for including some of 80s horror's most graphic depictions of violence.
If those gates are left open, it may be the end of humanity. We've got to try to get them shut again.
Number 21, The Serpent and the Rainbow.
¿Qué cosa vera es? No, he wants you to drink it. He says he has something he wants you to see.
The Haitian voodoo settings of both White Zombie and I Walked with a Zombie were updated for the late 1980s with this underrated Wes Craven flick. The Serpent and the Rainbow focuses its attention upon the magic and mysticism associated with the actual practice of turning someone into a zombie. Bill Pullman's Dr. Dennis Allen is tasked by a pharmaceutical company with bringing some of the drug that's used back home. But where this film truly shines is the visual aesthetic. The Serpent and the Rainbow feels legitimately hot, humid, and claustrophobic. This film revels in making us squirm, while the actual zombie effects remain excellent and quite convincing by today's standards.
But that will be only the beginning. After you're dead, I'll take your soul.
Number 20, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Besides having a killer title, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie is also a bonkers zombie film. Unlike many others, this one actually explains how they came to be. Here, what's to blame is new machinery in which farmers use radiation to control the insect population.
They've set up some sort of machine to destroy insects by means of ultrasonic rays or something. I thought, perhaps, you know.
How interesting. I'd like to have a look at it.
The zombies go on a killing spree, and 2 innocent people are implicated in the recent deaths. It's a beautiful movie that takes full advantage of its rustic English setting. This includes scenes shot outside Manchester's Gothic Barnes Hospital. It predates some of the most popular zombie movies of the 70s, has a wonderfully foreboding atmosphere, and even includes some social commentary through its ecological themes.
What rot? Ecological problems exaggerated. You know, of course, when we all die, only the scientists will survive.
It's not a popular zombie film, but it is a good one. Number 19, Land of the Dead. 20 years after the release of Day of the Dead, the legendary George A. Romero returned to his iconic franchise with the surprisingly good Land of the Dead.
Everyone who dies will become one of them. If you are bitten, you will just become one of them that much sooner.
They're not your neighbors and friends. Not anymore.
The movie was significantly more ambitious than its predecessors, complete with a multi-million-dollar budget and stars like John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper.
Riley, looks like God's let the phone off the hook.
The city setting was a new addition to the series and gave the film a moody, end-of-the-world atmosphere. Of course, it was also filled with all the zombie gore one would expect from Romero. And we'd be remiss not to mention the social commentary, which touched on themes of class and militarism. It wasn't technically the last film in the franchise, but for many, the Dead series ended here. Number 18, The Girl with All the Gifts. Colin McCarthy's 2016 movie began to take shape while M.R. Carey wrote his novel of the same name.
Pandora opened up the box, whereupon every plague and tribulation, every misfortune and evil thing in the world came pouring out. And they have afflicted mankind ever since.
Despite its similarities with famous zombie films, The Girl with All the Gifts mines some interesting new material from the classics. It's kind of like Children of Men set in a 28 Days Later style universe, complete with a young girl who's the key to securing a safe and virus-free future. The film is also well shot and contains a great sense of scope, which convincingly conveys its post-apocalyptic setting. Add in a great performance from Senya Nanawa, and you have an effective zombie film.
We're alive?
Yes. You're alive.
Then why should it be us who die for you?
Number 17, Cockneys vs. Zombies. Similarities will inevitably be drawn between Cockneys vs. Zombies and Shaun of the Dead. After all, the 2012 film also centers much of its humor around passive and polite English culture in the midst of a violent zombie outbreak.
Do you fancy maybe coming and getting a drink with me or something?
Are you out of your mind?
No.
You just kidnapped me. You threatened me with guns. You've put me in danger.
Yeah, sorry about that. I mean, some girls are into that sort of thing.
But it is nevertheless effective, and watching elderly people fight a swarm of zombies will never not be funny.
Boys, now you're talking my language. Right, who wants this?
Uzi 9mm. Oh. Remember, finger off the trigger till you're ready to shoot.
Thank you very much.
This movie has a lot of heart and embraces both the zombie genre and the East End of London, which is where most of the action takes place. It's a fun and hilarious story that effectively parodies zombie films and Cockney London culture. Number 16, The Last Man on Earth. The subjects of The Last Man on Earth are a unique and confusing mix between zombie and vampire. Whatever they are incredibly scary.
December 1965. Is that all it has been since I inherited the world? Only 3 years. Seems like 100 million.
This film was the first adaptation of Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. Though he was credited as Logan Swanson, the author actually contributed to the screenplay. As its title suggests, the movie has a moody and lonely atmosphere that is often punctuated by frightening sequences involving the undead.
All of you freaks, mutations.
Vincent Price also gives a great lead performance as Robert Morgan, continuing his legendary streak that began 11 years earlier with House of Wax. Modern viewers will obviously be familiar with Will Smith's I Am Legend, but this 1964 film is the scariest and most compelling adaptation of Matheson's novel. Number 15, Re-Animator. One of the best cult films of the 1980s. Re-Animator is a loose adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's short story, Herbert West Re-Animator. It follows an ambitious med school student who brings the departed back to life.
It stands to reason, then, that if one could find extremely fresh specimens and recharge that chemical process, bang, we have reanimation.
The theory is not new, West.
But my reagent is.
The movie provides a disgusting glimpse into death. Makeup artist John Nolan reportedly conducted thorough research to give the deceased bodies a realistic look.
One of Miskatonic Medical's best young hopes for the future of medicine.
What were you researching?
Death.
Much of the movie's reputation actually revolves around its grotesquerie. It was so violent that it was initially unrated, so video stores at the time also carried a modified R-rated version of the film. Re-Animator is one of the quintessential indie monster exploitation flicks of its time, and it also happens to be hilarious.
Get out of here!
Number 14. Little Monsters. Abe Forsyth's Little Monsters manages to find refreshing new ground within the zombie comedy genre, featuring Lupita Nyong'o, Alexander England, and Josh Gad. It follows a kindergarten teacher who must shield her students from zombies during a field trip.
Who remembers how to play tag? Good. Well, those funny-looking people out there are it.
How do I go backwards?
And we don't want to let the funny people touch us.
Nyong'o's performance as Miss Audrey Caroline is excellent as per usual. What's more, the film also contains a lot of great meta humor that pokes fun at the zombie genre.
Lieutenant, sir, why are we here?
Zombies again.
Well, fast ones or slow ones, sir?
Slow. We need to contain the infection, so shoot anything that moves.
Thank God they're slow.
But it doesn't end there. It also mixes in some touching elements of the romantic comedy genre, resulting in a story that is heartfelt, wickedly funny, and gleefully disgusting. Number 13. One Cut of the Dead. Arguably the greatest zombie comedy of the 2010s, this is a small Japanese film that has earned universal praise for its original storyline and intelligent screenplay. One Cut of the Dead was made for the equivalent of about $25,000, but ended up grossing roughly $30 million thanks to word of mouth. The film is an uproarious satire of the zombie genre. After all, it follows a director who strikes gold when real zombies attack as he's filming an indie movie about them. The film hilariously touches on all the tropes of the genre, and its script is packed to the brim with laughs and clever callbacks to earlier setups. In short, it's a masterpiece. Number 12. Day of the Dead.
What is it, huh? What are you giving them?
The third entry in Romero's renowned series, Day of the Dead was released to middling success in the summer of 1985. It concerns a group of scientists and military men living in an underground bunker as they attempt to end the zombie outbreak.
What are we hoping for here?
Hoping to satisfy the urge. You see, Sarah, they are us.
And though the film was initially a commercial and critical disappointment, its reputation has gotten better over the years. Notably, it contains an unrelentingly dour tone and some horrific violence. But it is a great film for those who like their zombie movies hopeless and dreary. If that's not enough to convince you, it also contains some great makeup effects, courtesy of Tom Savini. Number 11. Dead Snow. And now for something completely different. Dead Snow is a goofy Norwegian comedy about a bunch of students who are accosted by Nazi zombies while on Easter break. Yeah, you heard that right. This is basically the modern definition of an intentionally silly B-movie, and not taking it seriously is part of what makes it fun.
Typisk kvinnfolk. Han skvatter fan för ingenting.
The humor works well, and the film contains a lot of great makeup effects that'll have even the most zombie-hardened viewers wincing in disgust. It's one of those films that should be watched at 2 in the morning, preferably with a group of rowdy friends willing to laugh.
Okay, är klara! Woo! Klar! Färdig! Gå!
Number 10. Wreck.
Localizados urgentemente. La policía ha acordonado la zona y no nos deja salir del edificio sin darnos ninguna explicación, así que hemos decidido buscar otra salida a pesar de su oposición.
Getting in on the found footage genre is Wreck, a Spanish film about a news crew that gets stuck inside a quarantined apartment complex. Did we mention the place is filled with zombies? There have been a few of these types of films throughout the years, but none are as horrifying or as effective as this 2007 movie. It is a masterclass in low-budget filmmaking, with many scenes going on for minutes at a time. This works perfectly for the story's sense of grounded realism, playing more like an uncut piece of footage than a polished and edited film. Of course, it also helps that Rec is very scary, complete with a terrific sense of dread and some blood-curdling zombies. Number 9. Zombie 2.
Well, whatever it is, it makes the dead stand up and walk. I've seen it with my own eyes. That's impossible.
Zombie 2 was marketed as a sequel to George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, which was edited and called Zombie in Europe. Yet Italian director Lucio Fulci reportedly had no intention of tying it to Dawn, and was not aware that it would be advertised as such. The story follows Anne Bowles, who ventures to a Caribbean island to investigate the disappearance of her scientist father. The movie had a huge influence on the Italian horror genre of the early 80s, and quickly earned a reputation as a video nasty in the United Kingdom.
One of the fishermen said he'd seen his wife walking in the village at night. Only she'd been dead for 2 days.
It's this label that has bolstered its popularity, and numerous sequences from the film have become legendary in zombie fan circles. Number 8. Zombieland. One of the most famous zombie comedies ever made, Zombieland gets by largely on the strength of its incredible cast. Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, and Abigail Breslin all star as the protagonists. And Bill Murray provides one of the funniest celebrity cameos in recent memory.
I was never a very good practical joker.
So do you have any regrets?
Garfield, maybe?
Zombieland takes the genre and makes it fun, with Columbus's iconic rules, some great music, and a funny script filled with wacky scenarios and memorable one-liners.
Time to nut up or shut up.
Plus, Harrelson gives one of his greatest performances as Tallahassee. It's a charming and star-studded zomcom that never takes itself too seriously, which makes it a joy to watch. Number 7. Braindead, also known as Dead Alive. Before The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson was making silly zombie movies in his native New Zealand.
What do you think I am? A goddamn doctor? I don't sell sedatives. Tranquilizers, I do have.
Braindead is one of his most unconventional creations, and it quickly developed a reputation as such. While extremely gory, the film's violence is always conducted in a tongue-in-cheek manner. The splatter is meant to elicit disbelieving laughs rather than disgust. In fact, Braindead's tone is relentlessly outlandish.
I kick ass for the Lord!
Even in its most serious moments, Jackson imbues the story with a giddy sense of fun. As such, it inspired many of the zombie comedies that followed, and remains a go-to classic for gorehounds. Number 6. Shawn of the Dead. Speaking of which, Simon Pegg directly named Braindead as a major influence on his Shaun of the Dead. While Jackson's DNA is there, Shawn is far more subtle in its style of humor.
Where the hell did he come from?
I don't know.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself.
Who the hell put this on? Some random.
It's a hilarious zombie comedy that sends up the many cliches of the genre, but it's also an effective satire regarding passive English culture. It's a very British film in tone, deriving much of its humor from the ways Shawn and his friends absent-mindedly interact with the zombies around them.
No, I haven't got any change.
With Shaun of the Dead, Edgar Wright proved himself a creative and visually inventive director. Plus, the film turned Simon Pegg into the international star he is today. Number 5. Train to Busan. Western audiences have been treated to many great international zombie films throughout the years. South Korea's Train to Busan is one of them. Just when it seems like the zombie genre has done all that it can do, a flick like this one comes along and asks, what if there were a zombie outbreak on a train? The cramped conditions of the vehicle actually create a distinctive and wickedly claustrophobic setting. And when the story eventually opens up, viewers get a compelling glimpse of an apocalyptic situation.
유선! 우리 딸 이름 샤먼이야. 알았지?
The zombie action scenes are thrillingly directed, and the movie aptly uses its backdrop to comment on Korean class issues. Simply put, it is a heartfelt and horrifying zombie film with brains. Number 4. The Return of the Living Dead. Few movies are as unashamedly 80s as this one. It's not just a great zombie movie, it also provides an intriguing glimpse into a mostly lost subculture. Further, the film is often credited for bringing new ideas, such as the undead eating brains instead of flesh, to the zombie genre. So, the next time you hear someone groaning brains while imitating these terrifying beings, know that you have this classic to thank.
Who's there?
Additionally, its costume design and soundtrack make it quite idiosyncratic, as they place major emphasis on the punk subculture of the 80s. In essence, The Return of the Living Dead is a stylish and hilarious zombie comedy with a personality unlike any other.
Where do they get all the skeletons with perfect teeth? I'm going to ask you a serious question. How many people you know die with a beautiful, perfect set of choppers in their puss, huh?
Nobody I can think of.
Yeah, no, I think that there's a skeleton farm over in India.
Number 3. 28 Days Later. While it may not have introduced the concept of running zombies, there is little question that 28 Days Later restarted it in earnest.
Water. Are you okay?
It was a fresh idea that proved incredibly rewarding, and it kickstarted a craze that continues to serve the genre. The debate between fast and slow zombies persists to this day, with many believing that quick, screeching zombies are far scarier than the slower ones of old. The movie is also notable for its remarkably post-apocalyptic tone, which includes the famous sequence in which Jim explores an abandoned London. No other zombie movie, not even its memorable sequel, has been able to convey such a nightmarish and foreboding reality.
Leave him! Just leave him! I see him! Leave him!
Number 2. Dawn of the Dead. Arguably George A. Romero's most famous work, Dawn of the Dead could be considered the granddaddy of zombie movies.
What is it?
Steven. You're coming up.
Romero veered in a drastically different direction from Night, offering a movie that was more colorful, literally, more amusing, and far more gory. It catapulted the genre forward in terms of scope, popularity, and its penchant for displaying bloody violence. Plus, the film contains some of Tom Savini's best makeup work, a memorable soundtrack, and Romero's most intelligent use of social commentary. The themes he explores are just as relevant today as they were in 1978, and the movie has mostly retained its unhinged sense of fun. Zack Snyder's remake was surprisingly good, but nothing beats the original.
TV says you gotta shoot him in the head.
TV said a lot of things that are true.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Night of the Living Dead. While Dawn popularized zombie flicks, Night really set a gold standard for the genre. A history-making film, and the subject of a solid remake,
These are the wrong damn keys! Oh, what the hell are you doing?
Night of the Living Dead was reportedly made for just $114,000. But what George A. Romero and a small group of filmmakers accomplished with so little is beyond comparison. The movie was hated upon initial release for its shocking violence and hopeless nihilism, but it's now regarded as a landmark horror film that introduced countless tropes of the modern zombie genre.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
according to critics, it also serves as a fascinating glimpse into the America of the 60s, with its themes interpreted to be about both the Cold War and the Civil Rights Movement. Thus, Night gave way to the dawn of the zombie genre. Is there a zombie movie you're eternally ravenous for? Let us pick, but not eat your brains by sharing your favorites in the comments.
These damned souls forever will wander betwixt hell and earth as angels of the wasteland.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.